1962 Chevrolet Bel Air 409 Bubble Top. 20 weird facts you didn't know. Have you ever wondered why certain cars become legends while others fade into history? You probably think the 1962 Chevy Impala SS 409 was the ultimate performance machine of its era. But if you thought the Impala was the only Chevy packing that legendary 409 engine, you're completely wrong. What you didn't know is that Chevrolet's plain Jane Bel Air was secretly the drag racer's weapon of choice, and it came with some of the wildest factory options ever offered. In the next few minutes, you'll discover 20 weird facts about the 1962 Chevrolet Bel Air 409 Bubble Top that will completely change the way you view this forgotten muscle car. One of these facts will surprise you so much, you'll be questioning what you thought you knew about the Bel Air. Number 20. The bubble top roof was exclusive. The stunning bubble top roof, with its sleek curvature, was a unique feature of the 1962 Bel Air Sport Coupe. Unlike other models like the Impala or Biscayne, the Bel Air Sport Coupe was the only one to sport this futuristic design, giving it a look that resembled a spaceship more than a regular car. The exclusivity of this bubble top not only made the car look more aerodynamic, but also gave it an aesthetic that defied the norms of its time. It was a choice that didn't just make the car look better, it made it stand out. The sleek design also provided an aesthetic invitation to explore the power hidden under the hood. Number 19. The roof reduced weight. When you think of high-performance cars, you typically imagine heavy, robust structures. However, the bubble-top roof design made the Bel Air Sport Coupe significantly lighter than the Impala, shedding 70 pounds. This detail might seem small to the untrained eye, but in the world of racing, where every ounce counts, it was a huge advantage. Less weight means faster acceleration, less engine strain, and better overall performance on the track. In drag racing, those 70 pounds were the difference between winning and losing. Additionally, the lighter structure also made the Bel Air more agile in the corners, giving it a distinct edge over other muscle cars. This reduction in weight wasn't just a side effect. It was a key design feature that made the Bel Air 409 such a dominant force in racing.
Number 18. Improved aerodynamics. While the design of the roof was visually striking, the real impact was on its functionality. During wind tunnel testing, Chevrolet engineers discovered that the bubble-top roof didn't just reduce the car's weight, it also improved its aerodynamics. This was a crucial factor for drag racers as the design reduced air resistance at high speeds, making the Bel Air far more stable as it reached top velocities. The enhanced aerodynamic efficiency not only allowed the car to go faster, but it also made the car more stable at high speeds, allowing drivers to maneuver with confidence even at extreme velocities. Unlike other cars with more angular and heavy designs, the Bel Air was a shining example of intelligent engineering that didn't sacrifice aesthetics for performance. Number 17. The dual quad 409 engine. The heart of the Bel Air 409 was its powerful 409 cubic inch engine with dual carburetors, a true performance monster that delivered exactly 409 horsepower. What makes this number even more impressive is that it was achieved through meticulous calculations and optimization. Chevrolet engineers managed to hit the perfect balance, tuning the Carter AFB 3361 and 3362 carburetors with a solid lifter cam to precisely reach that 409 horsepower mark. This wasn't some happy accident, it was an engineering masterpiece. And the most mind-blowing part is that while the engine was rated at 409 horsepower, internal tests showed it could have easily pushed out 425 horsepower without any issues. But the marketing team insisted on keeping it at 409 for branding reasons, and the 409 moniker became iconic. Number 16. The single quad 409 was an affordable racer's dream. For those who couldn't afford the dual carburetor setup, Chevrolet offered a simpler version of the 409 engine with a single 4-barrel carburetor that still churned out 380 horsepower. This version was the perfect choice for racers who wanted great performance, but at a lower price. It was a sleeper option, offering 93% of the performance of the dual quad version, but with better reliability and easier tuning. What made it even better was that the single carb version used the same forged steel crank, heavy-duty connecting rods, and solid lifter cam as its more expensive counterpart. The key difference was in the intake manifold and the carburetor setup. Many racers preferred the single carb version because it was more consistent in performance, running pass after pass with rock-solid reliability. Number 15, you couldn't get a power glide with the 409. Here's a surprising fact. In 1962, you absolutely couldn't order a 409 engine with a power glide automatic transmission. The 409 engine produced 420 pound-feet of torque, and the power glide of that era just couldn't handle the massive twist. Chevrolet engineers tested beefing up the power glide's internals, but the test showed it would fail after just 10 hard launches. Instead, the 409 engine was offered only with a 3-speed manual or the legendary Borg-Warner T10 4-speed transmission. This restriction actually worked in the 409's favor by making every drive feel like a racing experience, forcing drivers to shift their own gears. The T10 4-speed could handle over 500 pound-feet of torque when properly built, making it the ultimate choice for racers who wanted that true performance feel. Number 14, bench seats were standard. Even with the 409 engine, the Bel Air came with bench seats as standard. Imagine this, a car with enough power to embarrass Corvettes, but with a simple, family-friendly bench seat. The bucket seats were reserved for the Impala SS, which meant Bel Air buyers had to slide around on a slippery bench seat during tight cornering. But this wasn't just about comfort. It was about the ultimate sleeper setup. From the outside, the Bel Air looked like Dad's sensible family car, but pop the hood and you'd find 409 cubic inches of raw power. The bench seat also had practical benefits for racers. It was 35 pounds lighter than the bucket seat, which could make a noticeable difference in acceleration. Plus, the bench allowed you to bring your racing buddy along for late-night street races. Number 13, factory tachometer cost a week's wages. Chevrolet offered a factory tachometer as an accessory for V8 models. Priced at $49, this tachometer cost more than a week's wages for many people in 1962. But it wasn't just a cheap add-on. This precision instrument could read up to 8,000 RPM, far surpassing the 6,000 RPM redline of the 409 engine. However, the factory tachometer wasn't always the best choice for drag racers. Its placement on the dashboard, in a pod that blocked the driver's line of sight to the Christmas tree at the drag strip, made it hard to use during a race. This led many racers to prefer aftermarket tachometers, like those from Sun or Stewart Warner, which were cheaper and mounted in a more visible position. Eventually, these aftermarket tachometers became so popular that GM.
Number 12, taillights differed from Impalas. Here's a quick and easy way to spot a real Bel Air 409 from a fake. Count the taillights. The Bel Air 409 featured 2 round taillights on each side, while the Impala had the more luxurious triple light setup. This seemingly small detail was responsible for exposing more clone cars than any other feature. Why does this matter? Because many people tried to pass off regular Bel Airs as Impalas, or worse, attempted to turn Impala clones into rarer Bel Air 409s. The 2-lamp design wasn't just about cutting costs either. These dual lights were actually larger in diameter than the Impala's triple setup, providing better visibility at night. Racers loved this because it made their brake lights more noticeable to the driver they just zoomed past. Additionally, the taillight buckets were built with different depths, so you couldn't just swap them out. If someone claims to have a rare Bel Air 409 but the car has triple taillights, you'll know to run in the other direction. Number 11, Dash 409. Emblems were placed below crossed flags for 1 year. 1962 was the only year Chevrolet placed the 409 fender emblems below the crossed flag emblems on full-size cars. This unique placement became a 1-year quirk that collectors obsess over today. In 1963, they moved the 409 emblem above the flags, and by 1964, the flags were gone entirely. Why the change? Well, it turns out that the original placement put the 409 emblem right in the mud spray zone from the front tires. Owners complained that their prized emblems were constantly covered in road grime. The crossed flags themselves were meant to represent Chevrolet's racing heritage, but some dealers thought they looked too much like nautical signal flags. There's actually a service bulletin from late '62 instructing dealers on how to relocate the emblems for customers who didn't like the original placement. Today, that original placement is like a fingerprint for authenticating real 6249s, and finding an original below the flag's placement can make your car worth a lot more to serious collectors. Number 10. RPO codes revealed true power levels. If you knew the secret RPO codes, you could decode exactly which 409 engine was under the hood. The RPO 580 code revealed the 380.
Number 9. Drag racers preferred the Bel Air bubble tops over Impalas. Here's something that didn't make sense to Chevrolet's marketing department. Serious drag racers overwhelmingly chose the cheaper Bel Air over the flagship Impala. The reason was simple: physics. The Bel Air bubble top was nearly 150 pounds lighter than a comparable Impala hardtop, factoring in all the trim differences. Less weight meant quicker elapsed times, and in NHRA stock class racing, every hundredth of a second mattered. The bubble top's aerodynamics also came into play above 100 miles per hour, where the sleek roofline created less drag compared to the Impala's more formal design. Legendary racers like Dave Strickler even special-ordered Bel Airs with delete options to make them even lighter. Things like no radio, no heater, no sound deadening, and not even a passenger-side sun visor. These stripped-down specials could be 200 pounds lighter than a fully loaded Impala SS. When you're trying to break into the 11-second zone with a stock engine, that weight difference was worth far more than any fancy trim. And speaking of delete options, Chevrolet would actually build you a Bel Air 409 with literal delete plates where the radio and heater controls should be. These weren't dealer-installed modifications. They were genuine factory options with their own RPO codes. The heater delete saved 35 pounds, cleaned up the engine bay, and eliminated the need for heater hoses and the blower motor. The radio delete took off another 15 pounds and removed the antenna, improving the aerodynamics even further. Number 8. Posi traction ratios went up to 4.56. When it came to rear-end gears, Chevrolet wasn't messing around. You could order a Posi traction limited slip differential with gearing ratios all the way up to 4.56 to 1, which was basically a license to roast the tires at will. Most 409 cars came with 3.36 gears as standard, providing a balance between acceleration and highway cruising. But if you checked the right boxes on the order form, things got crazy. The 4.56 gears turned your Bel Air into a stoplight-to-stoplight terror that could actually chirp the tires shifting into third gear. The downside? You were spinning 4,000 RPM at 60 miles per hour, which made highway driving feel about as relaxing as flying a fighter jet. Some dealers even refused to order cars with anything steeper than 4.11 gears, because customers would come back complaining about the noise and fuel consumption. But for the Saturday night racer, the 4.56 gears were worth their weight in gold. Combined with the close ratio 4-speed and a solid clutch, they could launch hard enough to lift the front tires off the ground, making for an unforgettable ride. Number 7. GM Heritage documented quarter-mile times of 12.2 seconds. According to GM's own Heritage documentation, a properly set-up Bel Air 409 could run a 12.2-second quarter-mile with period-correct trim. That's with bias ply tires, points ignition, and 1962 technology. To put that in perspective, a 2005 Mustang GT runs about the same time with 43 years of technological advancement. These weren't modified cars either. We're talking showroom stock vehicles with maybe a simple tune-up and optimal tire pressure. The key was the combination of that lightweight bubble-top body, the high-revving 409 engine, and those deep rear-end gears. Professional drivers could sometimes even dip into the high 11-second zone with nothing more than slicks and headers. The trap speeds were equally impressive, with stock cars hitting 115 miles per hour at the end of the quarter mile. That's serious velocity for a car that could theoretically seat 6 people. GM's test drivers actually had to wear helmets during acceleration testing because these cars were so fast that they exceeded the safety protocols of the time. Number 6. The WSeriesEngine. Had its combustion chamber in the Block 1 of the unique aspects of the 409 engine was its W-Series design. which had the combustion chamber machined directly into the block deck instead of the cylinder head. This innovative design allowed for larger valves and better airflow, while keeping the engine's external dimensions compact enough to fit in the engine bay. The special 74-degree deck angle created the distinctive scalloped valve covers that became iconic, but they weren't just for show. These scalloped covers allowed for clearance of the rocker arms, which had to operate at a peculiar angle due to the engine's unique design. The downside, however, was that precision was critical. If a machine shop didn't understand the W Series design, they could easily ruin the combustion chamber shape during machining, leading to a loss in power. This design also meant that the W Series heads wouldn't interchange with any other big block Chevy engines. You couldn't just swap Mark V heads onto a 409 block and expect them to work. Number 5. Dual quad cars used aluminum intakes in unique air cleaners. The dual quad 409 setup wasn't just about slapping two carburetors onto a traditional intake manifold. Chevrolet engineered a beautifully crafted cast aluminum intake that was 25 pounds lighter than a comparable cast iron piece. This was a big deal in 1962, as most performance cars were still using heavy iron intakes. The aluminum intake had perfectly matched runners in a divided plenum, which helped ensure that the carburetors fed the correct cylinders with precision. The setup wasn't just for weight savings. It was designed to optimize the intake flow, ensuring maximum power output. The dual snorkel air cleaner was another highlight. The air cleaner looked like it had been stolen from a NASCAR stock car, and each snorkel was designed to feed fresh air directly to each carburetor, creating a sound when you floored the pedal that was unmistakable. The whole assembly was sealed to the hood with rubber gaskets to prevent any air from escaping, making sure the engine got the most efficient airflow possible. These dual snorkels also produced a howling sound under acceleration, which became a signature feature of the Bel Air 409. Some of these cars even show witness marks on the hood, where the intake assembly actually touched the hood during hard acceleration. Finding an original dual snorkel air cleaner today is like finding a unicorn. While reproductions exist, they don't have the original ink-stamped part numbers that collectors look for. Number 4. Casting number 814690 heads were the hot setup. For those familiar with casting numbers, finding the 3814690 casting stamped on a set of cylinder heads was like striking gold. These were the high-performance heads that came with the dual quad 409, featuring larger valves and better port work than the standard heads. The intake valves were a massive 2.19 inches in diameter, while the exhaust valves measured 1.75 inches, huge for that era. However, most people don't know that not all 690 heads were created equal. The early castings had sharp edges on the ports that actually hurt airflow, which led to less efficient engine performance. Later versions of the heads had smooth radiused entries, which helped improve power significantly. Racers would often spend hours porting and polishing these heads to get every last horsepower they could. These 690 heads were so efficient that they could run on regular gasoline with a high compression ratio of 11:1 if the timing was set properly. Today, a set of 690 heads in good condition can easily fetch $3,000 or more before any machine work. Reproductions are available, but they use modern casting techniques which flow better than the originals, making them technically incorrect for restoration purposes. Number 3, the Beach Boys made the 409 famous. When the Beach Boys released their iconic song, 409, in 1962, they immortalized the 409 engine in popular culture. The song mentions the 4-speed dual-quad Positraction 409, which technically referred to the Impala SS, not the Bel Air. In fact, Brian Wilson had actually seen a 409 engine at a local drag strip and was so impressed that he wrote the song that same night. The lyrics perfectly captured the excitement of early 60s hot rodding, even if they mixed up a few details. The success of the song helped boost 409 sales in late 1962 and early 1963. Chevrolet dealers even reported that customers came into the showroom singing the song and asking for whatever the Beach Boys were referring to. The irony, though, is that Brian Wilson didn't even have a driver's license when he wrote the song. He simply loved the sound of those dual quads opening up. The song became so synonymous with the 409 engine that Chevrolet used it in commercials for decades, even though they never paid the Beach Boys for the original endorsement. Number 2. Model codes 15, 37, and 16. If you knew the right model codes, you could easily identify a real Bel Air Sport Coupe from a regular post sedan. Model code 1537 was the 6-cylinder version that no one really cared about, while 1637 indicated a V8-powered Bel Air Sport Coupe. These codes were much more than just random numbers. They told a detailed story about the specific body style and options of the car. The Bel Air Sport Coupe rode on the same 119-inch wheelbase as other full-size Chevrolets, but these model codes were what signified that coveted bubble-top body style. What's even more interesting is that Chevrolet's production records show that they built far fewer bubble-top Bel Airs than regular sedans, making them relatively rare even when new. Dealers often had to special order them because they weren't part of regular stock. The bubble-top design was also more expensive to produce than a standard sedan, thanks to the curved glass used in the roof. However, Chevrolet kept the price competitive to move units. Number 1. Heavy duty. Everything was available from the factory. Chevrolet's regular production option list for 1962 looked more like a racing parts catalog than a typical family sedan option sheet. Buyers could order heavy-duty metallic brake linings, a heavy-duty clutch, heavy-duty suspension, heavy-duty radiators, and even a heavy-duty electrical system with a higher output generator. These weren't just marketing terms. They were genuine upgrades designed for performance. The heavy-duty brakes used metallic linings that could handle high-speed stops without fading. The heavy-duty suspension included stiffer springs, bigger sway bars, and recalibrated shocks, transforming the family-friendly Bel Air into a corner carving machine. The heavy-duty radiator was 30% larger than standard, complete with a 7-blade fan designed to move a serious amount of air. Some racers even ordered every single heavy-duty option available, essentially turning their Bel Airs into factory race cars with warranty coverage. The best part? Most of these upgrades cost less than $50 each, making them a steal for the performance gains. Chevrolet was building street-legal race cars and calling them family sedans, which made these options a favorite for anyone looking to get extra performance on the cheap.